Hello and Assalamualaikum to Madam Dayang. My name is Adlin Lina binti HAMDAN. My student ID is 2024888812 from class BA 2733C. In this presentation, I'll be discussing a critical yet often overlooked issue in training and development, which is the lack of post-training support and follow-up. While organizations invest heavily in designing and delivering training programs, many fail to recognize that the real challenge begins after the training ends. Without structured follow-up such as coaching, feedback, or opportunities to apply new skills, much of the learning is lost and the intended impact on performance never materializes. The issue doesn't just affect individual employees, it undermines organizational productivity, wastes resources, and weakens the overall learning. The article I reviewed is titled The Impact of the Follow-up Process on Improving Training Output, which is the study was done in the Education Department in Al-Asar region in Saudi Arabia. The purpose of the study was to examine whether follow-up after training can improve trainees' knowledge, skills and attitude, which is KSAOs, and the researchers used a mixed method design which include the questionnaire and interview with both trainers and trainees. The findings shows that follow-up has a significant positive impact which help trainees remember, apply and transfer the skills back to their workplace. Trainees also agreed that follow-up should be a permanent part of all training programs. So, why this issue matters in T&D? Basically, training is not a one-time event. It is a continuous process that the real value lies in how well learning is transferred to the job, and without follow-up, employees forget or abandon the new skills. A study emphasized that follow-up is essential to reinforce learning, improve productivity, and ensure that training goals are met. According to the training magazine, 70% of training is forgotten within 24 hours if it is not reinforced. This highlights the biological and psychological need for follow-up to retain learning and drive behavioral change. Let's start digging into the causes of lack of post-training support and follow-up. Firstly, the causes is when the training is treated as a one-off event. When training is treated as a one-off event, it means that the organization sees it as a standalone session rather than a part of a continuous learning journey. This mindset often leads to minimal follow-up, no reinforcement of skills, and little accountability for applying what was learned. As a result, employees may quickly forget the material or fail to integrate it into their daily work, and this will reduce the overall impact and the return on investment of the training. As what I read in the article by Al-Asar, HRDUF focused heavily on designing and delivering training but failed to build follow-up mechanism. This reflects a common issue where training ends with a satisfaction survey but not with behavioral tracking or performance evaluation. Next is limited resources and support. Organizations often allocate most of their training budget to design and delivery. This leaves little or no funding for follow-up activities like post-training evaluation, coaching or mentoring sessions, and digital support. In the Al-Asar Case Study 2025, HRDUF faced financial limitations that prevent them from conducting proper impact assessments or offering structured follow-up. This means they couldn't track whether trainees actually applied what they learned, weakening the overall effectiveness of the training. Third is trainee unresponsiveness. Trainee unresponsiveness refers to situations where participants in a training program show little engagement, no motivation or follow-through after the session. This can manifest as ignoring post-training materials, failing to apply new skills, or not participating in follow-up activities. When trainees are unresponsive, the effectiveness of the training diminishes and the intended behavioral or performance improvement may never materialize. It's true that some trainees show low engagement with follow-up activities. In the training magazine, it stresses that employees need structured, personalized reinforcement to stay engaged after the training. What about time limitation? In many organizations, everyone is too busy with their daily operation. In an article by Bob S. and Early P. 2023, Workload, Work Intensification and Time Poverty for Teachers and School Leaders synthesized that 40 studies showing that time poverty and workload pressure prevent educators from engaging in post-training reflection and follow-up. Everyone is too busy with their daily operation, training ends and people move on without revisiting what was taught. Let's go deeper of the impact on employees and organizations when they neglect the post-training support and follow-up. Firstly, starting with the employees, when follow-up is missing, trainees often feel unsupported and unsure how to apply what they have learned. In the Al-Asa case study, many participants reported losing confidence and motivation because they didn't receive feedback or guidance after training. This issue led to skill decay, which shows that they simply forgot or abandoned the new knowledge. And this isn't just anecdotal. Training magazines report that 70% of training content is forgotten within 24 hours if it's not reinforced. Now, what does this mean for the organization? First, it results in wasted investment. Organizations spend time and resources designing training programs, but without follow-up, they couldn't measure whether those programs actually improved the performance. That's a huge gap. Second, performance across departments become inconsistent. Some trainees improve, others regress. This creates uneven productivity and morale. Lastly, without evidence of impact, it's hard to justify future training budgets or improve the program design. So, the lack of future follow-up doesn't just affect individuals, it weakens the entire learning culture and strategic value of the training. To understand why follow-up is so critical, let's connect this issue to key HRM and learning theories. First, we have Kirkpatrick 4-level models. This framework evaluates training across 4 levels, which is reaction, learning, behavior, and also result. The Al-Asa case study shows that while reaction and learning were measured, like satisfaction survey, the deeper levels behavior and result were ignored. Without follow-up, we can't know if trainees actually changed their behavior or if the organization saw any measurable improvements. Next is the Baldwin and Ford transfer of training model. This model emphasizes 3 factors, which is training design, training characteristic, and the work environment. Even if the training is well designed, it won't stick unless the environment supports it. The lack of supervision, feedback, and practice opportunities meant that the work environment didn't reinforce learning, so transfer will fail. And finally, Vola and Tunga's perspective as cited in the Al-Asa literature review. It reminds us that follow-up is essential for quality control. It helps trainees identify gaps, redesign future programs, and ensure that learning outcomes are actually achieved. Together, this story shows us that training isn't complete when the workshop ends. It's complete when the knowledge is applied, reinforced, and measured, and that only happens through structured follow-up. Now that we have explored the causes and impact of lacking post-training supports and follow-up, let's turn to practical solutions that organizations can adopt to improve training outcome. First, one of the most effective strategies is by implementing action plan. These are written reflections where trainees outline how they intend to apply what they have learned in their roles. It helps reinforce learning and give trainees a way to assess readiness and alignment with their job expectations. Next, by having peer meetings. Peer meetings are structured group discussion where employees share experience, challenges, and best practices. Peer interaction not only strengthens retention but also builds a collaborative learning culture. Another key approach is supervision consultation. When direct supervisors are involved in post-training follow-up like offering feedback, encouragement, and performance tracking, employees are more likely to apply new skills confidently and consistently. Organizations can also benefit from digital support systems such as learning platform or resource hub. These tools provide ongoing access to training materials, expert advice, and peer forums that make learning continuous and accessible. For example, having a recovery session or refresher courses that will help employees revisit core concepts and address any gaps in understanding, especially for those who may have struggled during initial training. Finally, organizations should adopt robust evaluation models such as the Kirkpatrick 4-level model. This framework assesses training effectiveness from multiple angles, from trainee satisfaction to behavioral change and organizational impact. Evaluation isn't just about checking a box, it's about learning what works and improving future programs. In summary, training doesn't end when the session does. It continues through structured support, feedback, and opportunities to apply and refine new skills. These strategies turn training from a one-time event into a long-term investment in employee growth and organization success. To conclude, the lack of post-training support and follow-up is not just a minor oversight. It's a major barrier to effective training and long-term performance improvement. Training programs may deliver valuable knowledge and skills, but without structured reinforcement, that learning often fails to transfer or never reaches its full potential. Not gonna lie, this issue impacts both employees and organizations, from reduced confidence and motivation to wasted investment and bad inconsistent performance. Theories like Kirkpatrick and Baldwin and Forbes remind us that learning must be supported by the environment, evaluated over time, and embedded into daily practice. Thank you.